Okay, I want to share some more information with you guys on the word noun and how it should be used. Okay, um, first, right? I'm gonna go over a little bit of things first, right? And I'm gonna make this quick, right? Because I've done this before. Anyway, so we have to be mindful of certain um, terminologies in our dictionaries. So when we are using those books, we have to know certain things, right? How that book is arranged, right? Like, for instance, definitions. So a definition, right? It it means a fraction, a piece of the pie, a piece of information. Okay, so the definition, it doesn't give you uh, um, um, the whole truth or the whole idea of the word. It breaks pieces of information off, right? This is why they label in your dictionary like, one, two, you know, one, two, three, four. It's just bits and pieces. Okay, so and and I'm sharing this right here because you know I don't want you to think, right, because I've never said, oh, don't read the definition. I've always said understand what they are, and when you're looking for the whole truth, when you're looking for what something really is or what something really means, right, you want the etymology, you want the etymon of the word, okay? And because most people, they think that if I read the definitions, right, I'll have the meaning of the word. No, you're just gonna have pieces of it. Okay, so that does not mean that you should not read the definitions, right? Because again, they are bits and pieces of the pie. They're bits and pieces of the truth. You know what I'm saying? So they're, what I'm saying? So you want that too, but just don't look at definitions as being the whole truth. All right. So, and by the way, because I'm going to go into this, you see the prefix, right? The first part of the word there, de. Okay. So I want you to notice that. So we're going to go into that. So now, so right here we see, right? First, always we want to go into the brackets because that's where the etymology is. That's where the whole basic truth or basic information is at. That's where we want to be. So I'm just gonna mark it for us to make sure we know to stay in there. See, I'm marking it. See, I'm putting marks on it. I'm saying that because something else is going to come up later on. So I'm marking it. Okay, so, and we can see right off the bat, right, at the end, right, at the end of the bracket information, right, we got the Latin, see, and the word noun, right, and not just in Latin, but in other languages as well. The word noun, okay, now you should be mindful that this, right, the N-O-U-N, this is English. Okay, this is English. Okay, yeah, so this is English. Okay, this is the English language. Okay, but in other languages, right, like going into like, okay, matter of fact, let me say it like this. This is modern English. Okay, but here we have Middle English, right, which is older than modern English. And this is the way they spelled it. So they spelled it, WNE. Okay? And it still has something to do with the information of that's in the word name. Okay? And mind you too, this NAME, this is the modern English spelling and pronunciation. Okay? Okay? So this is so here we have old French, right? Old French. That's old French. So they pronounce it and spelled it NOUN, right? Very close, yeah. Right there, right. See, but we want to go to the Latin, okay? We shouldn't be really concerned right now about the Middle English and the Old French and right and other languages, right? Because the Latin, right, is where we get all of our information. This is the under the Latin languages. This is how we have all our dictionaries and our books and our culture and what have you. Because everything is, because remember now, see these letters on the screen? Right, these letters, right, it's Latin. These letters are Latin. See, the number systems that we have, the way we right, Latin. So, we know grammar, the grammar system that we have, Latin. Primarily, Latin. So, that is telling us, that's where we want to go. We want to go and deal with the Latin. See? So that's kind of how you know, right, when to stop, because like, you can keep going. You can go leave the Latin, you can go into the Greek, right? You can go into the Sanskrit. You can go into Hebrew. You can just keep going because there's so many other cognates. Cognate meaning other languages that have this word in common. It might be spelled differently. They might have a different take on the word, but they're related in some type of way. That's a cognate. Cog. CO, you see CO, right? Meaning, like co-worker, someone, coexisting, meaning with someone, with you. Although they're different, but they're with you, yeah, so yeah, the name. So Latin is telling us, right, that the word noun and the word name, they are synonymous with one another. See? They're just two different languages. Okay? But the information between them, right, are very similar. Right? So, and you can go to, a Latin dictionary, right? And pull out all the information, right? On in this, you can go to Latin dictionary and pull out, look up nomen, and you can pull out all the information, a whole bunch of information, right? On what a noun is. You know what I'm saying? Or you can go to regular dictionaries, right? And go to the word name and extract, information as well. And you should do both of them because there's going to be little differences in the way people use, right, words and what have you. So we see, oh yeah, so look what they're telling us that, okay, so, what am I doing? Still in the bracket. So now, like I said, we're going to read some definitions as well. Okay, so right here, see grammar? See, they're telling us, right, that there's more information, right, about nomen, that's Latin, right, or name, or noun, right, within grammar. So you get the grammar books and research this term name or noun, but yeah, they're telling us, right, any of a class of words naming or denoting, see, denoting, right, denoting a person, thing, place, action, quality, etc. So see this here? See, you don't see anywhere in here that it says a noun is. You don't see the word is here. You don't see anywhere in here saying that a noun is a person, or a noun is a thing, or a noun is a place, or a noun is an action, or a noun is a quality. So you don't see none of that here. What you see is, right, is that it's telling you that a noun, right, is a class of words, right? It's a group of words, right? A group of word names. See, a group of word names, not just words. See, a group of word names, and it has to be because it's coming from the word name, right? A group of word names, right? Or, see, denoting a person, place, so this, a noun, right, are groups or classes of words, right, that are used to denote a person. See, it's just denoting a person. So now let's go to the word denote. All right, but first so remember I told you about that D, right, that DE, the DE, right, this DE right here, this prefix, because we see it in definition, right? So let's make sure we know what that is. So where is it? Oh, here it is. So we see so we're gonna stay. Right, this is the one right here. Stay in the brackets. Stay in the bracket. So we see D, right? Look at that. A prefix, right? Signifying separation, right? Cessation, right? intensification, intensive, intensification, right, or contraction. See? Now, let's look up some of those. First I had here, cessation,
Cessation.
cessation, cessation. Okay, and you can see this word is referring to, you know, ending something. See, the act or process of ending or bringing to an end, or brought to an end, being brought to an end. See, so this is talking about. Okay, so D, right, is referring to something that is brought to an end. Okay, and see, because it comes from the root to cease, right? To cease. Cease means to stop, right? To you know, to yield, to stop. Here are some synonyms. See, yeah. And see the word, here, contract. Let's make sure we pronounce this correctly. And see, contraction, contraction. Now, mind you, now, right? We're dealing with words here. Okay, you know, because the word, you know, a noun, the word noun is telling us, right, that we're dealing with denoting or denotations, right, and so denotations are going to have something to do with contracting words, or because when you know, denotation, see, I'm gonna show you up, you know, but note, you're taking notes, right? You know, you're dictating, like dictionaries, diction, right? Dictionary, right? It means to dictate, to you know, you're telling someone to do something, but in this case, you're telling them to take note, to mark down, right? To distinguish something from something else, you know. But contractions, right? And I'm saying this because, you know, we use that word contract. We say let me get it. We say contract, but that's not the way you pronounce it, and that's not. We gotta make sure we get the proper use of that word. Where am I? Yeah. See, contract, right? Contract, right? To take away, to make something smaller, right? A contract. See, means to to take things out, right? To make things small, to to dumb things down. To dumb things down. To give at least give the smallest, the least, less quality or something. You know what I'm saying? The minimum. The minimum. Like when they say, you heard them say, we are um, um, defining your contract. We are defining your contract. See, define? Definition. Right? We are rearranging. Right? We are taking things out. We are minimizing. We're minimizing. We're taking things out. Right? We're making things less clear in your contract. See, that's what that means. We have a contract, right? But now we're making it less legible, less clear. We're taking out all the different descriptions, all the different explanations and all that. So we're taking those things out. See? Wow. We what I'm saying? We are defining your contract. We're changing the definitions. Anyway. So it's pronounced contract. Contract. See? Contract. So it means you're taking. It means to take something out. You're drawing, or you're putting the information in a condensed form. You're not explaining it. You're just giving a condensed form. Anyway, so that's D. Okay, so denote, right? So D, we should have understand what D is, but now we're talking about a note. See, and see, and here, right? They kind of already, see how they give it. See D, and they tell you that means down. See, D. That means they're taking things down. To take something down, right? In this case, when you're talking about words, you're talking about a mark, a symbol, right? You're writing something. You're writing something. You ever see some other languages that just look like chicken scratch? Because they just look like marks. What is that stuff? Chinese. It's like someone that took a pen and something just went this way and that way and that way. It's marks. They Chinese people look at you and your Latin letters and feel the same way because they're just marks, right? They're just symbols, right? That people chose to use, and they have an agreement with other people. Say, well, this is what we mean when we do this little thing like this or whatever. Well, this is what it means, and you can find out. You can find that throughout all our writings. So it's a mark. Okay, so a denote is a mark. And now, okay, so let's go to I was supposed to have everything organized. So here we have now, right, note. Now check this out. You know how like musical notes? What makes music? Right? What? Why do you hear sounds in different ways? What makes it that? The space in the middle. Right? The space in the middle. Or because you got different notes, right? You know, what distinguishes one note from another, right? It's the space in the middle, right, with the silence, right, in the middle, or the pitch, right? You know, you know, if something goes higher, right, you know that, see, that's different from something else, or it's different from the next thing. Because you can go up like this, right, and then start to come down, and then go up again. See, so you know that these are it's denoting to you. It's telling you that this one, right, this note or this thing is different from this thing or this note. It's giving you a distinction. It's telling you this is different. These two things are different. You know. And you can see here, C note, C note. Right? C note. Dollar bill, dollar bill. It's just a note. So you see, a mark. It's a mark. A note is just a mark. A mark is writing, letters. It's a word, right? A sign. You know, there's different types of signs, right? Look, character, denotation, a noun, a name, right? Is referring to the character of a person. See? A noun. A noun is a mark or symbol, right? A letter. See? Oh, there it is right there, letter. See? It's a letter, right? Letters make words. See? And we're to see a noun is, right, a group of, or a class of words, right? See, but here's the thing. When you go to other languages, right, the Latin and other languages, and you go study the word noun and name, what's going to come up that they all have in common is this word right here. Character. And the word nature. Character, nature, and then some places, right, some of them have way, the way of somebody, right, and the behavior of somebody, right, the way, okay, so, but you're going to see most of the time, the majority of the time, character, right? See? So this is what a noun basically is telling you, right? A noun is a group of words, a class of words, right, that are denoting, or they are of different characters, right? They are of different signs and symbols that are used to distinguish people from other people. See? But they're telling you, again, don't look at these these signs and these symbols and these characters as being that person. See, you know what I'm saying? Because a person, you know what I'm saying? You know, these are just representations, signs, these marks, these symbols, these, you know, they are just small descriptions. They are definitions. See, define, denote, define, denote, definitions, denote. They're just little marks just to say or to indicate. And again, why am I sharing this? Right? You know, here's another reason I'm sharing this, right? You know, we used to name our children based on the nature of things, right? Oh, that's another word here that they use, right? They use nature, character, nature, you know, the way, the behavior of things, nature. But yeah, so we used to. I know it's still done. I know it's still done. Okay, it's still done because it was done with me. Okay, so we named our children, right, based on what was going on, the nature of things that were going on, at the time they were born. See, and we use astrology for this awareness. See, another word. See, knowing, to know. See, a denotation, right? A note, right? It's a knowing. It's a knowing of a person. Knowing. The word know also means science. Science, right? The word know also it means math. Math also means to know. So science, math, see, see all these, they're all connected. Astrology, it's a science. It's a knowing, right? See, astrology is the science of psychiatry, psychology, because it's the study of the psyche. It's the study of the soul. See, it's the study of see, because psyche means the emotions, right? The emotions of people. Psychiatry, psyche means the motions, movement, the way in which people move, right? Mentally, you know how to move. Move means behavior. You know, the word move means the way they behave. Psychologically, psyche, right? Psych means emotions. How are they, how are they moving? How are they behaving emotionally? So this is what astrology is. See, it's the original form of psychiatry. This is one of the reasons why when you go to the doctor, they ask you how your date of birth. See, because they are looking at, or they know that, hey, the nature of people, right? It's, you can find it, right? You can define it, right? You can denote it. You can notice. See, you can know it. You can observe the characters, the signs. See, this is why they give the 12 signs. See? See the connection that they're doing? The 12 signs, they're just marks. They're symbols. See? They're not real things. You know, they are just representations of certain behaviors, or certain natures that go, certain movements that go on in nature. You know what I'm saying? So we notice these different behaviors, and we say, hey, let's remember them. You know, let's pass information on. How are we going to do that? Or let's make some symbols. Let's make some marks. You know, so let's make some signs, right? And we make sure that, you know, that when we share it, that we let people know that this is what this means all the time. This sign right here, this is what it means all the time. So when we write it down, right, and we write down with other ones, you know this is what it means. You know what I'm saying? You know, so don't change it, because you're gonna mess it up. Don't change it. This sign, it always means this. And that's the way it was. But see the problem now today? They start playing with changing stuff up. They hiding the truth, hiding the information. You know, telling people some nonsense. Because like when they say, oh, a noun is, they put that word is in there. See? You know, a noun is a person. Well, wait a second. You know, see? Because is that is means to be. Wait. See? Is. See, is to be. To be. Or to exist as. Right? So they tell you, oh, a noun is a person. So they telling you that, you know, a noun, right? It is that person. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, existing. You know, see, to be, you know, to exist as. So they tell you, oh, this, you know, a noun, right? You know, it is the person. You know, this is what they exist as. This is, you know, the living being. See, it's the I am. The I am. See? the stay also means to be firm, to be consistent, you know, to be solidified. You know, this is the person. No. Nouns are just representations. You know, you can't put me in no word. You can't use no words to describe me, or to totally describe me. You can only, like, you know, get the basics down. You know what I'm saying? You can't, because this is me. You can only get that from, listen, individual people can't even tell themselves or share what they are. You know, like when they ask you, well, who are you? See, most people, all they can do is give that notion, the note that they were given when after they were born. You know, oh, um, who are you? Oh, I'm Kisron Israel. I'm Kisron Eliod Israel. See some nonsense. So no, that's not me. See, that's not me. That's some ideas, some words, some symbols and stuff that kind of give you a hint, of me. And then remember now, words are supposed to actually represent the character of a person. You should be able to take a word, right, and know it, right, and oh, that, yeah, see, that is you somewhat. You do kind of do that. I can see, because you can't get the whole thing, but oh yeah, see, yeah, see. So back in the day, well, we still do it. I'm saying, we use astrology because nature, the acts in nature, right? When the child is born, the child is born in and under those conditions, those energies. You know what I'm saying? They kind of, so you can never know the full nature of that child, okay? But you can give him some words. You can give him some titles. You can give him some names, right? Some nouns, right? So that you can distinguish him from your other children or other people. But most of all, to allow him to begin to know who he is. See, because your name, the names or the words, right, of you, right, if your child is born in December, right, so you're talking about you're talking about like Sagittarius, right? So the nature, right, of that time, December, the middle of December, December and stuff like. So you kind of know the nature, right, of those times, and then if you study the science of astrology, you kind of got a little more information, right? So you can take some of those words that represent Sagittarius, right, and you can see, you can refer to your child as something like that, you know what I'm saying? So you can, Kisron, the root meaning of the nouns that were given to me, right? Kisron, basically it means an open, empty hand. An open, empty hand with palms upward. So it's like, so see, stuff like that. So and see, and my middle name, Eliod, right? Basically it means to proclaim, to verbalize, to share, to teach, to give, you know, that L, that L, that electricity, that ability to put that shit out, see, my grandfather gave me the noun Emmanuel. 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 See? You know, because that's right. The spokesman. See, Emmanuel, right, is the spokesman. You know what I'm saying? The representation, right, of the symbols. See? Yeah. So then when you study like astrology, the different, like, and you should go into different ones, like the Chinese astrology. So in Chinese astrology, I was born under the energies, right, of the water tiger. The water tiger, So you kind of put those, the Western and the Eastern, you put those things together. So you got the Western, you got this horse, right, and you have this this archer man, right. So you have this, because see, everything comes in doubles in nature, duality. So you have the nature or the primal nature, right, that underlines, or the underflow of the archer, the subconscious of the archer, right? That horse, and you study the native horses. Horses don't like to be corralled. You know what I'm saying? They need to be broad. They need to travel. That horse needs to travel. It needs to constantly move. Now, travel does not just mean physically. It's really mostly mentally. That horse nature of the Sagittarian, it loves to explore different sciences, different disciplines, different cultures, different languages. That's its life. It's fire. That's the oxygen for the fire. And you know how they say that fire is an element. Well, it's not an element, right? Fire is a gas. It's a flammable gas. Fire is a gas. Fire is a gas that's been lit. Okay, fire is a gas that's been lit. See, it's something that's it's a gas. So know that also air is a gas. See, and when you are immature, right, a horse, a little stallion, you don't, them air sign people, like Geminis and stuff. When I was younger, I'm like, I could not stand Gemini people. They just get under my skin. You know what I'm saying? Because they were so wishy-washy. Because air. But then when I got older in my knowings, so I said, oh shoot. You know what I'm saying? That's my other half. That's what's motivating me. That's you know, I'm saying, I'm 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 looking funny at like the air, and I'm like don't realize, hey, that's me. Air is just me. You know, I'm because fire, the horse, the primal nature of Sagittarius, it needs to go and just do different things. That's the nature of air. The nature of air. You can't confine air. See? But what makes you realize that, right? What makes you know, right, is when you go back and you deal with the head now, right? And you understand the underlying current, which is the horse, right? The underlying emotions, which is the horse, right? And you go to the head, the archer. I said, oh, see, the archer, he just likes to be precise. The archer, right, likes to have his shit down. The archer, right, he shoot for the heart. He shoot for the heart. not the head, not the leg, right? He's an expert at going straight for that heart. But when he's mature, he realizes that his ability to move that arrow, it's in the science of air. See, when you know how air moves and that arrow has to go and it has to go through air. The air is what is giving that air the arrow its accuracy. It's knowing how to move or knowing the movements of air. Right? That's how you become a master with pinpointing. See? The arrow. See? So, yeah. So, so these little things like this, well, not really little, but and I share this stuff like this, right, along with the what a noun is, because this is part of the noun. The noun, right? A noun is what nouns do is they tell you, they give you words, they give you information, they help give you knowledge about who you are as a person. See, so you should be able to take words like astrology, zodiac, Sagittarius, right? Air and fire, and understand the history of those words. Because see, when they tell you a noun, and they tell you, it's any class of words, word names, right? And that these word names, right, are used to denote a person. See? These words are used to denote a person. They are used to be able to tell a person, to give a person information about himself. See? So you can look up these, study the word arrow. What's an arrow? What is the nature of the arrow? You know what I'm saying? When you shoot an arrow, how does it get to its destination? See? So you have, words like, or terminology and ideas like, it has to flow through the air. Then you start to study air, you know, and I mean, wow. And then you look at it from, because remember, you deal with a person. So you can look at air as being breath, you know, speaking, you know, words. When I was younger, well, I still do it. You know what I'm saying? I'll shoot a word out and take someone's head off. You know what I'm saying? Cut their heart out. You know what I'm saying? No Cupid here. No Cupid here. When I was younger, nah. And when I was younger, did not know no Cupid. Was, you know, Cupid, shoot that arrow in the heart, make you feel good. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was just being truthful. Because that's true. See, Sagittarius, true. No, and when you're young, a young Sagittarian, you have no filter. Because you don't know what that is. You don't reckon, hey, and you're not thinking that you're telling the truth or you're telling a lie. I'm just telling what I see. That's what I see. That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? You know. But then when you get, you know, to become an old horse, right? You realize that, hey, there's a class of words that I can shoot out. You know what I'm saying? And they all don't have to be sharp. I can shoot arrows out that are soft and still have the same effect. You know what I'm saying? So there's other words that I can use, right, to be more effective. You know, wow, man. See? But yeah. I didn't mean to go into all this about Sagittarius and this and that. Yeah, I just had a plan here just to, you know, go into the noun and right, and that was it. So B. So we did that B. So you know, so remember, a noun is not a person. It's some words. It's some quality. It's some characters, some words, some symbols, some ideas, some concepts that you can use to kind of, you know, to learn more about the person or to learn more about yourself. You know. Who would, I mean, wow. I mean, I have to think. I guess some of you are freaking out because who would have thought that, you know, a word, just the word noun, could be so deep? To be, you know, took the word noun and you breaking down psychiatry, psychology, and physics, you know, numerology, and you know what I'm saying, you know, all this stuff, mathematics, you know, from the word noun. But yeah, because that's what words are supposed to be used for. See? The words are supposed to be used to define these things, to break these things down, to explain these things. They are notions. They are notes, musical notes. See? You know, I'm just making sure I finish everything. You know, but yeah. So that's it right there. Okay, here we have. Okay, so that's it. So now, okay, So let me go. So again, as always, this, right, truly, this truly is our history, our culture, and our language.